What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to another episode of Film Stock Reviews. In this episode, I'm reviewing Tenet. Now, Tenet tells the story of a secret agent who manipulates time travel in reverse in order to stop World War III happening in the future. Now, if that's confusing, yeah, it's really confusing. It's directed by Christopher Nolan and written by Christopher Nolan, and it stars John David Washington and Robert Pattinson and Kenneth Branagh. Now, from the start, the movie is easy to understand, but as it gets into the story, it's very confusing at times. And as it gets, going, you wonder what's happening. And how can time travel happen in reverse? Well, they actually explain everything and how everything happens. And for example, if you're shooting something, instead of shooting someone, you're actually catching the bullet in the chamber. There's a scene where, everything is going on and one action sequence is happening after another, and it's crazy. But as the reverse characters are doing something, saying things in reverse and doing things backwards, the characters in the future are going forward and saying things forward. So it's really, really weird and really confusing. Of course, this movie had trouble coming out because it was pushed back many, many times due to the pandemic that is happening in the world right now. Now, of course, this was a movie you had to see at the theaters, and if you didn't, then you missed out. I actually caught it on video on demand, and I actually enjoyed this movie for what it was. It was great writing, the storytelling was good, the action was good. The only problem I had with it was John David Washington as the protagonist. His character has no name, he's called the protagonist. And every other underlining character that plays along with him has a character name. And you find out the things that he does is really, really interesting, and how he goes about recruiting people and who he recruits. People might say that, his acting was a little bit stale and dry, which it was in a way. I mean, you're playing the protagonist, you're playing the good guy in this movie, and you're actually not doing anything. You get caught every now and then, you get beat up every now and then. I don't know if we were supposed to feel remorse for him for getting, caught and beat up, but, he figures things out on his own, and everything just comes together in the end. And then you have Robert Pattinson playing his handler, or his right-hand man. And we find out that Robert Pattinson, in the end, came out of nowhere because of certain circumstances that happened in the future or the past. And they do explain in the movie how this whole time travel or inversion thing works. The whole grandfather paradox is mentioned, and Robert Pattinson's character is somewhat of the one who explains things. Of course, we see time travel differently in movies because it's always based off of the Back to the Future theory, and from then on, movies have followed that theory one by one. Anything before Back to the Future or before 1985, time travel stories were different, or you couldn't understand what was happening. But now they take a time travel story and they make it their own, which is really, really good. The action in this was good. A lot of scenes reminded me of Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which was also a movie directed by Christopher Nolan. And this story, I feel like, was based off of Deja Vu, starring Denzel Washington, John David Washington's dad. And if you didn't know that, that movie had a different aspect to it as well, but I feel like Christopher Nolan just, turned it down a notch with this movie, and because he definitely did take some inspiration from Deja Vu, and because if you didn't see that, then, if you watch that movie, then this movie, and then Inception, you can actually understand that it actually makes sense. To me, I feel like Christopher Nolan made this movie as a sequel to Inception, just adding the time travel factor to it. Like I said, there's a fight scene in the hallway which is reminiscent of the fight scene in Inception. Christopher Nolan is a visionary director. He knows how to make good films. He doesn't use CGI. He uses practical effects and, miniature models to make that happen. And with this movie, and if you see the behind the scenes of how this movie was done, things work so well. There is a chase scene on a highway in this movie, and how that played out was great, and then everything works to a certain point. But when you understand what's happening, you kind of like, okay, is that it? Is that all that happens? But as the movie goes on, it progresses, you understand, okay, why he's doing it, who recruited these people, and what happened in the end. A lot of people didn't like this movie because they didn't understand it. well, yeah, it's Christopher Nolan. You're not going to understand any movie that Christopher Nolan makes unless you watch it more than once. And I feel like Tenet was a good way to actually give people what they want in a story time travel way, being that it was done in reverse. Of course, movies are going to do something now where they actually take a story and see if they can do it in their own way by doing time travel in reverse. Is it confusing? Very, very confusing. Now, the interesting thing about this movie is that it did not break even making its money back because, of course, like I said before in the starting minutes of this video, the movie was pushed back due to the pandemic, and it had to gross a certain amount of money. And this was the summer tentpole movie of 2020 to, get the box office going and get people interested in the movies. The movie got pushed back so many times. And when it did come out, it was too late. People didn't want to see it. People didn't want to know what it was. And when they did see it, like I said, and I keep saying, it was confusing at times. But the movie was not confusing. If you watch it, if you pick out the little details that are happening in this movie, then you know that it's a good, fun movie to watch. Like I said, it's Christopher Nolan. You can't blame Christopher Nolan for making a bad movie. He's never made a bad movie. His best movie he's done is The Dark Knight, which actually isn't a Batman movie. It's a heist thriller crime movie with Batman and Joker in it. And it goes to show that he can do anything he wants, and the stories he comes up with is fantastic. So for me, Tenet gets 4 out of 5 stars. Now the reason it gets 4 out of 5 stars is because I feel like the character that John David Washington played was more so underlining and actually didn't give that much of a threat to the antagonist, the bad guy, who was played by Kenneth Branagh. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Tenet. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? And what rating would you give it? And do you think that you could see this movie as a sequel to Inception, or it's its own standalone movie? What did you think of the time travel aspect? And do you think it has any similarities to Denzel Washington's Deja Vu movie? So let me know in the comment section below to the questions I just asked. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos on my channel. And you know where to follow Marchio Productions and me, Mr. Filmstock. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You guys can check it out and follow along. I'm Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.